Eric Post. Where's Eric Post? Wow. Yeah, he did a great job in the second race at the top mark, getting around a couple boats and getting left. He and Steve Sisson. But what are you guys thinking about? Maybe Sam, what are you thinking about as you're in some traffic, which you were today?
Yeah.
You know, those last two tacks coming into the weather mark.
And number one is just, especially in conditions like that, is just keeping the speed on at all times and maybe coming out just a little fatter than you normally would if you're on your own in the middle of the race course. But again, yeah, just keeping the speed on at all times, having the sails trimmed perfectly for your angle coming out of those tacks. And clear air, we had a really good job on the last race where we got out to the starboard ley line and we, instead of just tacking right on the ley line, we just overstood a little bit, let a couple boats kind of come underneath us. We just kept the speed on the whole way through, and
that paid off.
Yeah, especially with all the chop and disturbed water out there. I think when you get to that top mark with a lot of different boats, having speed at all times is key, especially in these kind of conditions.
Right.
And then kind of figuring out where you are when you set. There was a couple times there was one boat that was kind of sailing 100 angle after they set, so we just had to keep our spinnaker down and just kind of get clear air for a second, and then we were able to come and set and kind of get that passing lane, which was actually pretty good. A lot of the times, 78% of the time, you're probably going to want to extend when you set your kite. So having that, being able to sail that clean lane is pretty important, and I thought we did a good job of that tonight.
Yeah, so setting up high and being able to set high, and then
even if you're setting 5 to 10 seconds later than everybody else around you, you don't seem to really lose all that much by just sailing a couple extra boat lengths high, setting, and then coming down with the rest of the group. Because then now you're in the passing lane.
Right. Whereas some people set fast and then sail deep right away at the offset, and others sail up higher and around them. There was a lot of that going on, especially in the back of the pack, I thought. Speaking of,
it seems like in this regatta and the one in December too, it seems like a lot of times when I'm coming around, I'm right on somebody's transit.
Right.
I mean, really right on somebody's transit. So to be a little high of them and be able to get kind of around them before we set is really paid off for us.
So holding on the set and then having a clear lane, the passing lane, and being able to get around it. Good. Jeff, what are you guys looking at on the set as your coach, weather mark?
Well, it's just real light air. It's real easy to get too deep, like you're saying, and the boat sits flat if that's not fast. You want to keep it going and keep that angle of heel the whole time. When it's set, you might have to do a little dip and get the boat underneath the spinnaker, and it's you want to keep going fast all the time and keep the bow up. We're usually pretty good about keeping the bow up and keep that passing lane, like you say.
Yeah.
It's a fine angle if you figure out where that is, and it's hunting a little bit for it. And seeing how the chute fills and how it's trimmed right away is where it's about.
And angle and heel.
Angle heels, it's all, I'm just playing angle heel the whole time.
Right.
And that's fast. If you get too flat, well, you just take all the energy out of the boat.
Right. How about downwind setup today? Maybe Harry or Wally could talk about that angle and trim and some of the things that you saw or felt to make your boat go fast downhill.
I mean, we focus on keeping our weight forward and low. A little bit of lured heel because you always sail with pressure, apparent wind forward. You can never really get the DDW mode. Maybe a little bit of that fast racing times, but it wasn't very often that you could have enough pressure to sail deep. So we were always, a lot of communication with the trimmer and the driver to keep it feeling good, keep feeling pressure in the kite. I don't think too much heel is good because maybe more when it's surface or you over heel.
I agree. From what I saw on the power boat, the boats that were flatter were in the front down. Well, they were in the front uphill, but downhill they seem to have the best maneuverability. Having their boats a little bit flatter when there was pressure seemed to be better. We saw that in the practice races yesterday too. In the real light stuff, it might be. In the ghosty stuff, it might be okay to be a little more boats flatter. I'd say in general, upwind and downwind, the lead boats in both races were generally a little flatter than the boats in the back. That was one observation I had. Wally, how about you for downwind?
Again, these boats are, they sail on their own apparent wind, a lot of their own apparent wind. And our whole goal on the top mark and out of jives is to try to get it ramped up as quick as possible. So we'll come out pretty hot out of the jive just so that when it's all pressured out, we'll slowly rock it flat, and then it's a matter of Justin talking to Eric about pressure. And it's usually about 90 apparent. These guys are sailing around, but their communication's been great. But it seems like if you don't get the boat going initially, it takes a long, long time to get it sailing well. But if you get that parent attached early, you can start sailing well fast.
There's one thing that you really focus on. What is it?
Today, a lot of it's weighted reeds, so it's a little different, but I don't know, degrees, it's not that much. You probably have a better view off the boat than I have, but and the breeze, the more the breeze, even flatter I go. So as long as the boat feels free on the tiller, that's what I'm looking for in bigger breeze. And this stuff, it's a little more finesse and weight balance.
Any other questions? John?
With breeze on, talk about the bang or the ganav and what you think it does to the main and why.
It bends the mast and flattens the main, but it also,
Does it dump the top or does it
well,
cup the
because
top?
you're flattening, it's gonna probably, have a little bit of that effect, but it does give you a harder leach all the way up and down. What we saw in December
A
was,
harder leach.
yeah,
If you're bending the mast, wouldn't it open the leach?
it does, but it's like a straighter, less twisty leach. I think.
That's my
The
question.
boom goes down a foot, and the leach is in a straighter profile. In
But it bends the
December-
mast as well, which should open. So I didn't know what the answer is. So
These guys in
it tightens it
December,
up.
when they were going really fast upwind, had no bang in it. And more diamond tension and more rig tension.
Right.
They were probably flatter, more twisty
Yeah.
with the boom up on center, so they were going fast and high. And a lot of us hit bang sheeting. The effect wasn't too high.
Yeah, because it closed off. Yeah. Good.
There's times if your rig's not right where it's better to go with the bang. If you get the rig set up right and it's windy, it seems that maybe it's pretty good to do it without as much bang.
Same thing.
Yeah, the main to me is sort of like a traveler. What doesn't have a traveler? So if the main has to go out, I want to get some bang on before I use the main shoe. Particularly if the mast is too straight for the main, flatten it out. That's a good comment though that you guys just made about the breeze. I felt like in that regard that we didn't want to diamond feature, so we had to go to the main much sooner to flatten the main. And it didn't feel as lively as it would if the love was flat and had more twist. The boat seems to like twist